I'm cute though. Y'all know I ain't lying. Yes, sir. Y'all, welcome to Bed with y'all. It's about to be phenomenal. It's about to go down, y'all. Thank you for tuning in.
Wow, you have a lot of energy right
now. Stop playing with him. What's up, everybody? Do me a favor, like, share, welcome to Bed with y'all. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And good evening. Listen, we're airing now on different parts of the planet. So in some places it's morning, in some places it's evening.
It's morning right now where we at.
Where who at? It's evening where I am. It's evening where I've been up all day.
All day.
I've been up all day.
Yeah. Good
Man, how was your
morning.
weekend?
It was great. I had a good weekend. I just come to tell the people I'm feeling good. Some people not feeling good, but I made it through. I am healthy and wealthy. Hey, man.
Some folk got COVID, though.
I know.
A lot of people got COVID, man.
It's a lot of people have COVID. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm like, you thought you was in the clear, Jesus.
I thought look.
I have been wearing my mask every second.
How many times have you had it so far?
I think twice or 3 times maybe.
I've had it. I know for a fact I've had it 3 times.
Okay, I think I've had it twice then.
Yeah. If I catch it again, it's gonna be 4 times.
Yeah, don't catch it again.
Man, look.
You're not gonna catch it again.
Man, and here's the thing, y'all, and I'm not getting into, but I don't. If you think that it's not real,
yeah, it's
stupid.
Real.
It's very real. People are sick. People are, and hear me. It doesn't matter what you see. This is my thing. It's like COVID ain't real. Well, the sickness is.
Yeah, and people have died, so it's real.
It don't matter what you want to call it. We just know people know for a fact they coughing, sneezing, headaches, running nose, body aches, can't taste, can't. Nobody's lying about that, right? So wear your mask, MASS, and
the good one too.
And here's one, y'all. Don't assume. Look, take the test. Take a, and here what kills me is people's like, oh, I told a group of people a couple of days ago, they were like, the test is not 100%. I said condoms not either.
Man. Wow. I never, you know what? It makes sense.
The mask is not 100%. It's a lot of stuff that's not 100%, but you do it to take precaution.
Yeah, you have to take
precaution. So I think it's crazy to put people at risk because you don't, y'all.
That's it.
I be getting the attitude. I'm like, man, people. I have friends that's died because of this thing, So anyway, okay, put death aside. Nobody want to be sick.
Nobody wants to close your whole life
it just
down,
messes everything up for a whole week. It messes.
No gym,
no
nothing,
food, no nothing.
No work.
So,
Jeez.
man. So
man,
to you.
All right,
Anyway, I'm glad you're not sick. Shouts out to Des. She's sick, but she doesn't have COVID though.
No, she doesn't have COVID, but she's not feeling well. I did, I spoke with her. She's not feeling well. She's getting better. Everything a joke, huh? Everything's a joke.
What I'm serious.
What?
All right, man. Des, we praying for you, man.
We praying for you, Des. Dang.
All right, y'all. Let's go to commercial. Chris, talk to me with what would you do? You better have a good one today, man.
Okay, this What Would You Do segment is called...
Man, your intro got to change.
Okay, remember when I had the whole little, outline.
You need to go back. You
didn't like it. You said, Chris, you saying too much. We already know what it is. What would you do?
I mean, you got to figure out something. Man.
Okay, I'm coming hard next show.
No, you need to do it now.
Okay,
change it. Do it again.
I have to sit and think about it.
Come on, man.
Okay, this What Would You Do segment is called Cousin or Boyfriend. Okay. I'm a 43-year-old woman who's been divorced twice. I never thought I'd remarry until I met the man of my dreams. He's a lawyer, kind, and has 2 grown children, which was a plus for me. We have so much fun together. We've traveled, done pottery, and enjoyed all sorts of activities that most men wouldn't do with their women. Recently, we did a 23andMe together because we're both interested in our family history. Ooh. He's adopted, and I thought it would be a dope idea for him.
I'm sorry.
I thought it would be a
so
dope
nasty.
idea for him for his birthday gift. He was so happy to do it, and everything seemed perfect until we got our results back last week. We discovered that we are second cousins. We were sick to our stomachs. I didn't believe it until my mom and dad confirmed it. Despite this, he says he still wants to date. But I'm just not sure about that.
Nah, dog.
Ladies, what would you do?
I'm not a lady, but
Yeah, that's sick. That's sick.
Nah,
like,
dog.
no, I'm sorry. Okay, you guys might have already done.
oh, they have because they were sick to their stomach. You had no business messing around doing the ooh. You wouldn't be sick to your stomach if you wasn't doing the ooh.
That is, I would be sick for like years. Like that's like sick. But the worst part about it is he wants to still date. That's actually the part for me.
All right, so let me ask this question, man.
Yeah, kissing cousin.
So second cousin.
Nasty.
Second cousin. Now there are other ethnicities that do that all the time. All right, so let me ask you. So Chris, you found it out. What would you do?
No, I'm sick. I can't do that. That's for me. I cannot.
All right,
do
what
that.
if it was a fourth cousin though?
That's sick. I don't want to date
No.
my family. No, I'm sorry. Like, if you said that you want to do that, it's
What up, Hubs? What up, Cuz?
I know some people
Oh
do
boy.
it. Yeah,
Ooh, boy.
so like y'all, and then the fact that
no,
other
dog.
people know, like your mom and dad just confirmed that that's your
Ooh,
second
no.
cousin, and then you come back and say, "Well, we just gonna get married."
Ooh,
Like who does that?
dog.
It's a no.
But
for
okay,
me.
what about fourth cousin though?
cousin? Period. If yo,
All right, what about cousin by marriage? Somebody y'all not really blood cousins, but it was by marriage.
I'm just not anybody that's in my family, like any type
Yeah.
of family. I'm not doing that. Like
But she's 43 though. She may not ever.
And that's I was gonna say
Yeah.
they're older.
They're older.
So
How old is she?
She's 43. It didn't say how old he was, but he's probably older too. He has
Yeah.
2 children. She
Oh,
said
yeah,
that are grown.
Grown, yeah.
So
Ooh, it's so bad. So what would the children be if they had a child?
that's what I'm saying. Who want to go through all of that?
That's my daughter and my cousin.
That's my daughter.
That's my son and my cousin. You crazy? I ain't doing that, dog.
Sick.
That's ridiculous,
That's
bro.
sick. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. It's too many people in the world. Okay?
Nah, let's not do that.
Let's not do that. And then the family is just, they know what's going on. So then everybody know you married to your cousin.
Yeah.
Because when they say, they ain't gonna say, well, that is their fourth cousin. People not gonna say that.
let's not do
It's
that
gonna
one.
say their cousin. So woman of God, please no, don't do that. Just let it go. That's
Yeah.
sick though. I'm praying that you get over that.
Yeah, let's not do that.
I'm praying. But yeah. So
All right, y'all. Thank you, Chris. With what would you do? All right, y'all. Unfortunately, we don't have Desiree here. So we're going to skip to current event. Shakira, holla at us. What we got going on, man?
The 2024 Olympics.
You ain't going to speak to nobody? You ain't going to say no hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Just nothing.
Hello.
Just,
You just said hello.
Let's do that one more time, Miss Rudeness. Miss Rudeness. Shakira, what we got, man, with current events?
Hello.
Yeah, too late.
How's everyone's day?
Yeah, we're great.
Okay. The 2024 Olympics wrapped up in Paris this weekend. The United States came out on top in the Olympic medal count with 126 medals overall
Wow.
and 40 gold.
Wow.
wow.
China, our top rival, came in second place with 91 overall and 40 gold as well. And then Japan came in third with 45 overall and 20 gold. So obviously we dominated.
Yes, that's amazing.
And someone on TikTok brought up that the Olympics displays our genetic superiority as a nation, as we are a melting pot, right? So we have the best of, like, over generations, we have the best, like, mix of genetics to just kill everybody, right? Which is the exact opposite of how we look at differences in culture and race when we're here at home.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That is right. And so,
Yeah.
so I would like to ask this question: How many African Americans won a medal this year?
Uh-oh.
Googling.
That's what we need to know.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
Y'all already know. Y'all already know. I know one thing.
I know one thing. Hello.
Shakira, if you can't find it, I found it in my head.
I found a list.
Okay, go. You got a list. All right. Now, that's a really good point
Yeah.
because we have to start being. Well, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. She counting, y'all. She in it. Let's give her another hand. That's what they do in church. Yeah, y'all know when you remember the praise dancers, man?
Yes.
Played the wrong
music.
song.
And music ain't gonna play.
And
I counted 19 from this list from Yahoo Sports.
okay, and how many went?
How many people total?
Yeah.
I used to want to go to the.
Why didn't you go? Anybody can go.
Guess what I wanted to go for?
Oh, you wanted to participate. Because you said you can go to the Olympics anytime you want to. Yeah,
I wanted to participate.
you want to participate.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to participate. But
I
what
wanted
did
to participate.
and what, track?
Yeah.
Yeah.
619.
619 Americans went to the Olympics.
That's what Eurosport.com says.
We really should see how many African Americans got gold, or you're just saying both medals, period.
Just medals, period, y'all. How many African Americans?
Yeah. Medals, period, according to my counting from a list from Yahoo Sports,
Yeah.
was 19.
Not, it wasn't more.
It had to be more.
It's got to be more.
19 people.
Oh, people.
19
so she may not be
people.
considering teams.
Oh, okay. So 19 people got medals.
But that's still.
Yeah,
Because you're
this
thinking
was-
basketball and.
Yeah. So this was as of last Wednesday.
So out of the 19 medalists,
Oh, that's not updated. Yeah, that's not updated. Yeah.
all right. So right.
They all black.
So what I'm saying is, y'all, we cannot be. First of all, America would not have done that without African Americans.
That's it.
Number one. Number two, that statement is acknowledging let's just be real.
Yeah.
Because there is supposedly a country that is asking for African American men to migrate to that country,
Jesus.
allegedly, to mate with the women in that particular country
Whoa.
because they want the black male genetics to be bred with their genetics. Why didn't they call the white men?
Yep.
The same way that we need to acknowledge it's our genetics
Yes. Yes.
that allowed America
Yes.
to be number one. Okay.
Absolutely.
So here it is, Shakira. We have to stop being a melting pot and acknowledged for our genetics in sports and entertainment alone. We need to be a melting pot in education. We need to be a melting pot in economics.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Socially, we need to be a melting pot. Politically, we need to get this, y'all. In government, the justice system, we need to be. So the white boy that gets caught with marijuana and the black boy that gets caught with marijuana, they need to be tried the same.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as powerful as that statement is, that needs to translate or transfer over to all systems in America. And that's the strike Black people need to go on.
Yeah.
We will not give over our genetics anymore to make this nation look good until we are respected
That's so good.
in every industry.
Every industry. Wow.
Or y'all gonna go and lose the next time.
Oh, for sure.
Because you will lose.
Yeah, you're
you will not be number one without us.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. You will not be number one. No football team, no basketball team. No, you will not be number one without us.
You will not. Yeah. Wow.
But congratulations to these United States of America. How many A's in America? 2. 1 A belongs to African Americans.
Hello.
Thank you, Shakira, for those current events. All right, y'all. Up next, the one and only, you know him as the Truth, now goes as Emanuel.
Yes.
It's about to be crazy, y'all. Let's go to commercial.
Anything can happen in just 24. Have you heard Dr. Gabe's latest single, 24? Scan the QR code on the screen to share the music video on your social media platforms. Let's make 24 go number 1.
Yo!
Just happy for me.
Yo! This is mind-blowing to me, y'all. Right now, in the studio, on Bandwidth, we have listen, you know him as the Truth. But now he's going by Emanuel. Y'all show your love for Emanuel in the building, y'all. It makes no sense. 13 albums.
Yeah.
Grammy nominee.
Yeah.
How many?
3.
3. How many Dove nominees?
3.
3.
Doves. Nominees.
Nominees.
Nominations. Yeah.
Yeah, nominations and
5 Stellar
5 Stellar
Awards.
Awards.
Yeah. Just got my.
You just
5th.
got one.
My 5th.
Your 5th.
Yeah.
All right, we clapping again. Man, thank you for coming.
Oh man, you know.
Thank you so much.
You know
man.
when your text comes through,
I appreciate
it's a no-brainer.
you, man. God, this is amazing. Yesterday we were in the office and I forced all of them to listen to your music. I said, we're gonna listen to this one right here, y'all. It's just I had a lot of questions, but I want to ask you this. You said this in one of your songs. You said this in the epilogue. You said went through a Great Depression. I'm talking extreme highs and lows. A lot of IG followers. That ain't what makes you special. Nah, posted up with designer clothes. What made you talk about depression and highs and lows and Instagram and all of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm in the process of reading this book called Recapturing the Wonder. And one of the most potent points that's made in the book is that we oftentimes think that achievement and fulfillment are synonymous. And it's interesting, if you see an impoverished man rummaging through the trash to try to find food, naturally he's pitiable. He's a pitiable man.
Yeah.
But if you see a man in a suit pull up, valet parking, suicide doors on a DeLorean, he's enviable.
Yeah.
That's fascinating if you think about it, because it's really just a matter of perception, right? Because the truth of the matter is that the man that we deem to be enviable is really rummaging through the trash in his own soul, the trash of entertainment and the trash of, selfish ambition and the trash of, it's just difficult. It's just not as easily identifiable, but each of them are actually the same. One you just perceive to be one thing versus the other. And that's one of the things that I've learned on my journey and in my career, that, it's where you find your identity, and this kind of becomes really cliche in a sense. So, you know, you hate to sound cliche, but it is a reality. Just because it's cliche doesn't mean that it's not true.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, when you think about how people are finding who they are and what people think is certain, what people deem to be, what's what I'm looking for? What people think it means to arrive.
Yeah.
Particularly, and it's not just in music. It's really across the board.
Yeah.
You know, it's in pastoral ministry.
That's right.
It's across the board. The human heart is the same. I think this is where people, where the misconception is that it really doesn't matter. I heard Christine Kane say this once. It's an interesting statement she made. She said, "Nobody ever gets there." I thought that was a fascinating statement. Nobody ever gets there. Now, that feels in some ways very glass half empty. You know, it feels pessimistic.
Yeah.
It can come off that way. She said, and this is the second part of it. She said, nobody ever gets there. Everybody is always here. That's fascinating to me. Because the truth of the matter is, and I know this for a fact because there are people that have gone much farther than me that are friends of mine who are discontent with where they are. It's interesting. If you think about the people who are as high as you think they could possibly go, they actually are not there per se, because there's somebody else somewhere else that they're seeking to catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that person is there for them. So they're always just here. Where does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Everybody's always only here. Nobody's there. Everybody's still trying to get there. And I think that has something to do with the way that plays out is an insatiable appetite for more. So that's one. But I think that it has a lot to do with that God-filled void that God placed on the inside of us. Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
Yeah.
You know, that eternity has been branded on the hearts of men.
Yeah.
And eternity is vacuous. It's like, what do I do? What do I have to attain? What do I have to achieve? What is possible to achieve in order to satisfy eternity? And so I think the interesting thing about, you know, the world in which we live and the humans that we are, because I can't divorce one from the other. A lot of times we place a lot of the blame on culture and social media, etc. But really they're just, it's art imitating life.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of this is really just an expression of who we are inside. And, you know, the relationship that we have with it really just is just what it proves or what it indicates is that there's something what's what I'm looking for, broken on the inside of us.
Yeah.
And so anyway, when I wrote that line, I had in mind this idea of, is there ever a point in which you arrive? Chuck Swindoll said it this way. He said, the moment you get the thing you've always wanted, it only creates a desire for more of what you don't have.
Yeah.
How come when I get the iPhone 10, I want the 11?
Yeah.
And how come when I get the 11, I need the 12?
Yeah.
It's insatiable. And so I think God rigged it that way on purpose so that we would see the emptiness of this life, and through the window of the emptiness of this life, we'd see him on the other side.
Man, that's phenomenal. You've had a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
A phenomenal career.
Thank you.
And I want to say this before I ask this question. I want to tell you this. You gave us permission. You say this line that I actually say all the time. You say, the culture thought we were too corny.
Yeah.
The church thought we were too carnal.
Yeah.
And when I heard you say that for the first time, I said, that is the story.
That's the story.
That's the story.
Yeah.
It's like this in between there. And you talked about it. I heard you say this, that CHH there was no, it's like it's in the middle. No one accepted.
Yeah.
And you seem to just create this. I mean, you were. This is very true. You were goals.
Yeah.
We watched you. I watched you on TBN,
Yeah.
and you gave us permission because we didn't have it.
Yeah.
We were in the church. They said, y'all carnal, y'all in the flesh.
Yeah.
And then in culture, in our schools, we were not accepted because we
Yeah.
were so.
It wasn't dope enough.
Not dope enough at all. So what you've done has just been so phenomenal. How have you navigated being a forerunner and being the one that people have, looked at as that's where we have to go? Because you have been there for us.
Yeah.
You were there. That's where we gotta go.
Yeah, for sure.
How have you navigated through the temptations of the industry and holding on to Christian faith at the same time? Because in my opinion, you've just done a phenomenal job with it.
Well, thank you. I don't know how phenomenal I've done, but I'm grateful that that's the perception. As a pastor, you totally understand what we have to grapple with behind closed doors is really heaviest. It's Paul the Apostle, and I hope I don't need to qualify the statement because I don't think that this is a one-to-one, but I think in principle it's the same. Yeah. Where the Bible says that because of the exceedingly great revelations, God had to put a thorn in his flesh, or his flesh was buffeted.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot of debate around what that was. Was it his eyesight? Was it health? Was it a demon? The whole thing. Whatever it was, God wouldn't take it from him.
Yeah.
But it was because of the exceedingly great revelations, and what that indicates is that there's this. Whenever there's great success, there's always immense pain on a parallel track, and immense, trauma and hardship and heartache, and so I think. So anytime we're all paid compliments, we like, praise God.
Yeah.
But I know me.
Yeah.
You like, praise God. But that what I'm experiencing over here when the lights are off,
Yeah.
And again, that's the stuff that life dishes you and God uses in order to serve as a counterbalance. Yeah, I think the wisdom of God is that uninterrupted success always leads to apathy. And so there has to be the devil and the angel.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'd grow apathetic, and I think and complacent. Mm-hmm. And so but I think in terms of my journey and the tension of industry and ministry, the upside for us, man, was that when we came into this, to your point, there was no industry.
Yeah.
And so because there was no industry, we were purely missionally focused. Mm-hmm. That was it. There was no industry for us. There was industry for CCM. There was industry for gospel music.
That's right.
There was no industry for us.
Yeah.
And so we were purely missionally focused. Our vision statement was to reach all who are a part of and or impacted by hip hop culture. That was our vision statement. And at that time, it was storefronts of 20 people. And it was street corners.
Yep.
Where for us, we were literally using hip hop and leveraging it to create opportunities for the gospel. That was literally it. That's why the music was so preachy. They were like, why y'all so preachy? Well, that's
yeah.
At the time, what people have to remember is that mainstream hip hop was preachy. At that particular time, mainstream hip hop was Nas.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Biggies and the Jays came more closer to the time in which I started to take off a little bit. But, you know, prior to what was that? I don't know when that was, 90, whatever, late 90s. You know, mainstream hip hop was preachy. You know, you have Rakim and arm, leg, arm, head. They were using hip hop. Hip hop was a pulpit through which rappers were propagating their theological ideas. And so naturally, what Christian hip hop felt a responsibility to do was provide a counter perspective. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we used to get a lot of criticism. So preachy. Well, that was the culture that, you know, that was the culture at the time. And it wasn't just counterbalance for counterbalance sake. It was as mainstream hip hop. Well, I forget. The saying is that during the 50s and the 60s, obviously things were a lot more homogenous and monolithic. You know, one of the beautiful things about that particular time is that there were still certain traditions within the home. And one of the traditions was table talk.
Yeah.
It was the time in which parents
That's right.
could pour into their children.
Yeah.
It was, you know, you could transmit ideas, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. And then another, so that was one kind of platform by which indoctrination happened. And then the formal educational system was actually another form. Remember, many of our institutions for higher learning, you know, started out as seminaries.
That's right. That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Now they're liberal, but
Yeah.
they started out as seminaries and inscribed on the arches. You know, were always you track.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was another place and space where indoctrination happened. You know, the 10 Commandments were in the schools. Prayer was in the schools.
That's right.
So these were environments through which indoctrination was happening. The educational school system. The education system, get it right, and table talk. Yeah. So you got it. You were getting it everywhere, and then you were going to church.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? However, all of those things gave way to a number of different things that shifted in the culture. So the question became, well, what's left as the primary means of indoctrination? The arts. That's all that was left. When table talk gave way to career, because now dad is out working.
That's right. Yep.
The educational school system gives way to liberalism.
Yep. That's
The
right.
10 Commandments are taken out.
Taken
of school,
out. Prayer's taken out.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then, what then is left? The arts.
The arts.
And so hip hop wasn't neutral in its expression. Mainstream hip hop was using its platform to communicate something very, I believe the thing that is most important to every human, the thing that is most tantamount to who we are as human beings and what we are as a society, is theology. And J.I. Packer said, no person can go any further than what they believe about God. And so now mainstream hip hop is using its platform to say something about who they believe God is or isn't.
Yeah.
To say something about what they believe, who they believe Christ is or isn't. And so naturally, here we come saying,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's Kendrick and Drake.
That's right. Yeah.
It's they not like us.
Yeah.
We decided to say, let's provide you with something else that you can weigh when you're processing through your theology. And that's what Christian hip hop was for us at its inception.
Wow.
And so in the beginning, it was mission.
Got you.
I took you the long way to get that.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it was purely mission. And it was, it was school beatboxing on the tables. It was rapping, and it was street corners, and it was storefront churches with 20 people. And over time, after we had dug our roots really, really deep on the missional side, then the industry started paying attention to us, much like it did with mainstream hip hop.
That's right.
Mainstream hip hop was out the trunk, and then the industry started paying attention to the fact that they were making money off of this, and they said, not without us.
Yeah, got you.
And so that those millions that Ludacris and Master P and Jay-Z were making out the trunk, the industry said, we want a piece of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so for us, the same was true. I remember us sitting on the bus. It was Cross Movement, Reach. We were all on a bus, and at this time, Bad Boy was courting us. And I'll never forget. They took the Cross Movement up to the 50th floor of this high-rise building. All of these windows. You know, it's very devil's advocate-ish.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the devil, but
right.
I'm saying just that idea of
yeah.
It felt very much like the kingdoms of the world, you know?
Yeah.
I'll give you the kingdoms of the world. And I remember the CFO traveling with us on tour, and every show just trying to get us to buy in so that we could become Bad Boy artists.
And what happened?
It died on the vine. You know, I don't remember exactly what happened, but eventually it did die on the vine. I don't know if we turned it down or what the deal was. I know Tonic or Wells was really heading up that. He was kind of at the forefront of those conversations. But my point is that the industry, when they came in like a flood, like a rushing wind.
Yeah.
Labels. I remember all the label conversations. I was there for all of it. And so by the time the industry came, what we recognized, our heels were dug in so deep on the missional side that it wasn't a difficult thing for us.
Gotcha.
Because then we saw industry as something that could serve ministry.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we could use this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And so for us, it was about really using the industry to serve the ministry and not the other way around. So it never really felt like a tension.
So when did it happen for you outside of Cross Movement? When did it happen for you where we knew?
Right after the first album. It popped, right? It popped at the first album. It happened at the first album. Yeah. When I put out Moment of Truth, it was over.
It was done.
That was it. Yeah. That's when Kirk and I connected. And I remember the first time I was in Dallas at the time. I didn't know him. Ambassador did. But Ambassador kept telling me, yo, Kirk is such a fan. He goes crazy over this album every day. He listens to this album every day. In fact, Kirk played songs from Moment of Truth for Kanye West.
Really?
Yeah. He went back to Moment of Truth. Like, this is my guy. He just loves that record. And probably because of what the record represents in his life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, I remember going to Dallas. I had a show out there, and Kirk came. I was so nervous with him in the audience. And then afterwards, he was working on the Passion of the Christ had just come out, or was getting ready to come out. He was working on the soundtrack for it. And so he was in the studio in Dallas. And so afterwards, I went to the studio to connect with him. I forgot how it all happened, but I ended up going to the studio. He runs over to me, even though he was smaller than, he was still strong. He picks me up. I can't imagine how strong he is now with all the muscles.
He's on another level now. Yeah.
But he literally picks me up and throws me on the couch. I'm not gonna say what he said, but my God.
Yeah.
Y'all know Kirk.
Yeah.
Man. But he picked me up and threw me on the couch. My God. That night, he's working on the Passion. He's like, well, so what you think? And I'm sitting there like, you asking me what I think about your music? He's asking me what you think about this line, what you think about. Well, anyway, afterwards, we ended up going to Denny's, and we hung out till 4 a.m. And then at the end of it, he was like, let me give you the bat phone. And he gave me, and we exchanged information. From that point, it's been 25 years. So it started there.
83, you all did 83 dates on
85.
85,
yeah. We did 85, yep.
On tour.
Yep, me and Mary. Yep, night after night. 80. I went home one day out of 85. 85 city. I went home one day. It was 3.5 months on a road, tour buses. It was fun.
and TBN, he I remember him introducing you on TBN. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's when the faith is when he brought me on TBN. So that's when I did Portrait.
Portrait.
Yeah. And then I never stopped going to TBN after that. He brought me on 4 times. Donnie brought me on 50 times. I'm still going on TBS. But that's when it all really popped for me outside of Cross Movement. Everything just kind of took off. So, wild moment. It's a providential moment because, again, we're ministry minded. I don't know the difference between TV and, the lunchroom at this point.
Wow.
It's all the same.
Got you.
It's just me, people, and what I feel like God has given me to say.
You said on Chasing Ghost, you said I've had opportunities to do you said opportunities to do reality TV, and then you said major collaborations.
Yeah.
But then you said this line that has changed my life. You said, but I turned him down because I don't want to blur the line.
Yeah.
I don't want to blur the line.
Yeah.
And that stuck out to me because what we're seeing now is a lot of Christians doing collaborations. And when you said you didn't want to blur the line?
Pastor trying to get me in trouble. And you see how he's framing it? When you said the blur the line. This is about to give me, this is how I lose friends.
But that changed my life, though. And I'll say this, the reason it changed my life is because when you see so many influential people doing the collaborations, they're crossing over into the secular space for influence, and all under the premise of Jesus sat with sinners and all of those things. Where is the line drawn?
It's interesting. In my journey, I have constructed, deconstructed, and reconstructed again. I have evolved, devolved, and then evolved again. And it's I was reading this sociology book, and it was talking about 2 different stages of life. Your pre and post critical stage of cognitive development. And in the pre-critical stage of cognitive development, you are essentially embracing and absorbing whatever is told to you. So whatever your parents taught you, your pastors taught you, people that are influential in your life and people that have authority, you hold on to it without any criticism. And so you listen indiscriminately and embrace indiscriminately. And then you get to a point in your life, which is the post-critical cognitive stage of development, where you go from indiscriminately embracing everything that's taught to you to cross-examining everything. That is where children oftentimes become rebellious. What we don't realize is, it is rebellion, but they're actually just in a process of transitioning from accepting it because you said so to now trying to navigate the nuance of whatever they're being told in light of now more lived experience. And so, and observations and a bunch of other pieces. Right. It's a lot of variables there. And so I'm saying that to say that construction, deconstruction, and reconstruction is oftentimes that process just in a later part of your life. It's just post-critical, just cross-examination. And I know what I've believed, because now this is not about what you were taught. Now this is not just about the convictions that you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now this is just about what your worldview has become after having done the work.
Yeah.
So now I'm in another critical stage of cognitive development, just in a later part of my life. And so I'm saying that to say that I used to be really, really hard on this. I stopped because I really was losing friends over it. Really? Well, not because I was losing friends. That's not why I stopped. Why I stopped is because it wasn't worth losing friends over this. It's in the grand scheme of things, we got way too many other things to be. Yeah. Not only do we have too many other things to be preoccupied with, we have too many other things in common to allow for, destroy 20 years of relationship.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it was starting to have that kind of impact when I had this conversation. And so I recognized it wasn't that important. You know,
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I've kind of come to just in my faith walk. Things that I thought were mountains were really molehills. And it's not that it doesn't mean that it's not important at all. Molehills are not insignificant. It's just that when you weigh, when you weigh what is, what's what I'm looking for, most important and impactful and necessary, it kind of falls lower on the totem pole. And so this is one of those conversations, but I will take a quick stab at it. I used to have a heavy conviction around this, where I didn't even think Christians, if you were a Christian and a musician, that you should play for mainstream artists.
Yeah.
I've always tried to qualify this statement. Let me say that by stating that I didn't mean mainstream artists in general, because I delineate between moral, amoral, and immoral. And so I think there's a category for amorality, which is no morality, so to speak. Life music, inspirational music, Adele, John Legend, these are artists that are not poisoning the culture.
Yes.
They're secular in that there is no acknowledgement of any deity. So secular in that sense, not secular in that it's sinful. And so I've always delineated between those two things. And so I've never had a problem with either artists collaborating with mainstream artists or musicians playing with mainstream artists, especially if they were amoral.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where I've always struggled is when the artists that you are supporting or that you come aligning yourself with is clearly serving a contradictory purpose than the one that you serve. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And so I've always struggled with, is this like the NAACP and the KKK trying to work, trying to find a common ground?
Yeah.
Because I've always wondered if there comes a point where, which I do think that we can find common ground. I think being conciliatory is one of the things that I have really softened. I've learned to soften in these areas, where I can come alongside of a lot more people now than I could 10, 15 years ago, and feel comfortable about it with a clear conscience, because there are some ways in which, by virtue of the fact that these people are made in the image of God, we can be conciliatory, and there are things that we can hold in attention, and the things that we don't agree on or that are contradictions. As long as they're not fundamental to who we are, I think there's a lot of work to be done with people that are not in the faith or hold different convictions. And so I'm saying this to say that I think for me, it's always been about, at our core, if we are fundamentally contradictory, not just different, is it possible for us to find a common ground?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, Pastor, I had the answer to that. I don't know if I have it as much anymore. I don't know if I feel as strongly in my convictions about, it anymore, because I think the question I'm still asking is where the line is. I know where the line is for me. That's what I can say.
Yes. Yes.
I know where the line is for me. I didn't want to do the reality TV shows because I knew that they were going to be messy. I had 4-hour conversations with the network will remain unnamed.
Yeah.
Literally 4-hour conversations 4 times. And they almost got me once. We was at the finish line. And I said, now, can we just revisit creative control? And then it fell apart again. But I knew that it was going to be messy. Honestly, I've seen a lot of my peers go in great and come out worse than what they were when they went in terms of their reputation. I know that I couldn't be covered. I wouldn't be covered. Family wouldn't be covered, because once you grant them that much power, they can do anything they want with it. They can take scenes and splice and dice and make you say something you didn't say, or make it appear to be one thing that is actually not. And so I didn't want to blur the lines there. The money would have been nice, but these are the concessions you take on principle.
Yeah.
And in terms of artists, you know, to your point, there are artists that I could have worked with. In hindsight, would I have worked with them? That's the question I ask myself now. Given where I am now, where I've relaxed a bit in some of these areas, would I work with them now? Probably no. And that's what I feel good about.
Yeah.
And again, for me, the line is does what we do, is what we're doing in the earth, is what we're seeking to accomplish as far as our agendas are concerned. Are they, is it possible for us to reconcile those two things without it being question marks all around it? And for me, I need that answer to not necessarily be the hardest yes, but at least a close.
Yeah.
Close to yes, we can reconcile. It'll make sense to people if I do a song with John Legend. They'll be like, oh yeah. I mean,
Right.
some will, you know, but
Right.
anybody who is where I was 15 years ago will have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But most people are going to be like, oh, okay, that's cool. If I do a song with Adele, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now, if I get up do a song with Doja Cat,
It's gonna be something else.
it's a completely different thing
Yeah.
because we have fundamentally contradictory values. Now, I will say this: what about a song like "We Are the World"? Though, that's tough. You think about a song like "We Are the World," that would probably be me, and Doja Cat, and everybody else. Would I be willing to do? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see, so it's a moving target. That's why I relaxed on it, because it's too much of a moving target. So I do "We Are the World" with Doja Cat. I just wouldn't do a feature with her. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
But it's still a collaboration with Doja Cat.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, these are all of the nuances that I've had to process throughout the years. And I just think everybody has to be persuaded in their own mind, and it becomes a matter of conscience.
What's the state of, I want to ask this question specifically. What's your definition of a millennial?
In terms of values or in terms of age?
Age.
What does it go up to? 36? 30?
It's 40.
40?
It's
Okay.
25, 6 to 40.
Yeah, okay.
And what's your definition of the millennials' belief system, their core values right now?
I think the millennials, it's interesting because the generation to follow the millennials is now doing to the millennials what they did to their previous generation. It's so fascinating to watch it, boy. It's so crazy, man. Nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
It's all cyclical. Because Gen Z is seeking to correct the mistakes of millennials now.
That's right.
Which is so funny because the millennials were sitting on their high horse for so long.
Yep.
Anyway, I think the values of the millennial are still the same. I think they ushered in subjectivism, relativism, for sure. You know, it's very, you know, postmodern. It's very much. It's very much. That's what I'm looking for. Every person is really a law unto themselves, and every man kind of does what is right in their own eyes, and that's fine. As from a Christian perspective, we hear that and we're like, ooh. From a mainstream perspective, if you say everybody gets to do what's right to them, it's perfect.
Right.
It makes perfect sense. They don't have the same points of reference that we do, so they're not processing those ideas the same way. And so I think what millennials represent to me is a world where people get to live autonomously. I think that the challenge in the garden, what the serpent was proposing was not that he was proposing that God was withholding something from Adam and Eve. And the question is, what is it that he was trying to convince them of? And I think one of the things says that you will be like him. Well, if we take it a step further, the question then becomes be like him in what way? And he goes on to answer that actually. He says, knowing good and evil. Well, what does that mean? Wouldn't they have already had a sense of understanding regarding good and evil? They had to have a moral compass in order to know what was right and what was wrong. To be grappling with the decision as to whether or not they would eat from the fruit of the tree already indicated that they knew the difference, that there was a delineation between what was right and what was wrong and what was good and what was evil. So then what was the knowing of good and evil? Had to be something different or greater than what they had already. And the knowing, I believe, is 6 Hebrew words for the word knowing there. And if you go through it, you think about the way that the word knowing is used in chapter 4. It says, and Adam knew Eve. Well, he knew Eve. We know that that's intimacy.
That's sex, yeah.
Okay, so knowing good and evil. No, that would make sense.
Right.
Another word I think is used as yada, which means intellect or intelligence, where we get Yoda from. Well, knowing good from, well, they would have a cognitive understanding. Well, they already had that. They had a moral compass, which is why they were grappling with this to begin with. Okay, so it can't be that. Well, I won't go through all 6, but another one of the words actually means, and I thought this was fascinating, to determine. And I love that because what essentially Satan was trying to get them to feel like they would gain from this moment is that they would have the ability to determine what was good and evil. That's where we are now. Millennials want to be able to determine what is good and what is evil. Should we keep talking?
Man, yeah.
What? And so I think, but again, what's fascinating about that is Gen Z wants to correct it where they believe the millennials got it wrong, which is so interesting because how can we have a category for right and wrong when everybody makes a determination about what that is themselves?
Yeah.
If right and wrong is subject to each person, then on what basis do we make determinations about where the corrections are? There's no objective standard by which we can do that. And so we just go round and round, and that's why we can't get anywhere in conversations. That's why we can't get anywhere. That's right. And so that's where I think millennials are.
So I am frustrated with how I feel the church approaches millennials. I think the church is still putting millennials in the choir.
Yeah.
And at the door, doing praise dance and stuff like that. When my personal opinion is, if you don't have a millennial as an elder, if you don't have millennials on your board of directors in your church,
1,000%.
then the future of the church is going to be it's going to be shaky.
1,000%.
What would you say to pastors around the world?
Yeah.
About how to preserve the church and how do we insert millennials in that?
Wow, huge question. Get this, man. Somebody come. Okay. Let's start with B. How to insert millennials. Pastor, I think that one of the fundamental challenges that we have in church is prolonged adolescence. It's a problem that we have in the West, actually. In the West, we are children until we're 30. I was having a conversation, as a person who for many, 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 many years, was the guy going into churches to minister to their young people. Now it's come talk to our young adults, which I love. That's what I love. But one of the things that I was always taken aback by was a lot of things, but one was where the age limit in youth ministry. The age limit in certain youth ministries was 25. I said, you think that person is a youth? That's youth? You grown with a mortgage, 2 kids. Like by that point, I said 25, and that's common. That's common. Youth in some ministry starts at 18.
Yeah.
That's not. I'm sorry, that's me. That's not youth.
18 is military age.
Military age.
17 actually is military.
Yes. And I look at, again, I say this is a Western thing because you see all over the globe, in Jewish culture, when are you an adult?
12, 13, yeah.
Bar mitzvah, bat
That's
mitzvah.
right. Yep.
Rites of passage,
Yep.
transition into manhood.
Yes, sir.
At the age of 12.
They're bringing $100,000 to you that day.
This is what I'm saying. That's you see what I'm saying? That's near Eastern culture.
Yes.
That's near Eastern culture. In Asian culture, you will see their 8-year-old children running the stores, running the shops. Think about it. Was it Asa? King Asa? Was he 8 years old?
8 years, yes, sir. 7. I thought 7 or 8 or 9, something like that. Yeah.
8 years old. The king of Israel is 8.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not suggesting that king should be 8. What I am suggesting is that in our culture, we stay young too long. We stay young too long. Wiz Khalifa, I think he was, I forget which one of his songs it was, but it was Young, Wild, and Free. I think that was the one. I think, I don't know how he was at the time, but I know he was in his 20s. And I remember hearing the song. I love the song. It was fun. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't love it, the content, but you got me. The song was fun sonically. But I remember thinking to myself that he's forwarding these ideas for your 20-somethings and up, which is essentially live young, wild, and free. Throw all inhibition to the wind. Live reckless and careless because you only live once in your 20s. And that's the idea. Live your 20s, your 30s are for, that's the culture. Yeah. Your 20s are for this, your 30s are for that. And that is one of the worst, you see what I mean? And it keeps us in this very juvenile-ish type mentality for a very long time. And so that mindset has permeated the church where we keep people young too long. And so if I'm just coming out of, to answer your question, youth ministry at 25, where in youth ministry they was teaching us about the birds and the bees till we was 25.
Yes.
What? We weren't getting sound doctrine. We weren't getting we wasn't learning theology. We weren't talking through hard questions and hot button topics and how to be effective and engaging in the culture. And we weren't processing politics and faith and integration of life. And you see what I'm saying? That we weren't talking worldview, and we just weren't. We weren't talking. The conversation was generally around sex and relationships.
That's it.
That was the preoccupation, and intermittently some other things here and there.
Yeah.
But by and large, we weren't being taught. There wasn't a lot of girth. We weren't being rooted and established in the most holy faith. And so, and so you're coming out of youth ministry at 25, still relatively, unless you did it on your own, anemic.
Yeah. Yes.
Anemic, theologically, spiritually, etc. And so we're starting really late. If that would be the answer to my question. We start really late. We start really late, and we place we have a misplaced understanding around age and experience. This was actually the challenge that Timothy was going through, which is why Paul had to tell Timothy, don't let anybody despise your youth.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love the way he offsets it. He says, let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in charity and conduct and speech, etc.
Yeah.
And I love that B portion of the passage because it is the internal accountability that Timothy is being called to give attention to and surrender himself to. The internal accountability says, be charitable, be kind, watch your speech, watch your life closely, because that's the only way they'll take you serious as young pastor.
As a young pastor. That's right. As a young pastor.
And so I think that, he had to do that because I think they dealt with something similar then that we deal with now, which is in Grecian culture, they placed a really high premium on age and experience. And so they struggled with you follow me?
Yeah.
And so I think we just have to stop. I think we have to stop overestimating age. I think we have to stop underestimating youth. And I think and I think we need to be intentional about not falling prey to prolonged adolescence and keeping people young too long. Yeah. Because if I can see the value in a 12-year-old like Jesus, who's baffling the minds of the physicians, if I can see a 12-year-old and see that he can have the same impact, or she can have the same impact that Christ did at his age. If I can see a 14-year-old and say, I can see them as having the same redemptive storyline as Mary did, or we know it all the Daniel and the Hebrew boy. Listen, everybody we admire was a teenager. Everybody we admire, everybody who inspires us from the scriptures was a teenager. Daniel, teenager. Hebrew boys, teenagers. Mary, teenager. Joseph, teenager. David, teenager. Everybody we inspired by is a teenager. But when they're teenagers in the American church, they're in youth Bible study learning about the birds and the bees.
That's right.
What would make it possible for Daniel and the Hebrew boys to endure that moment of persecution in Babylon, and have the wherewithal and the girth to stand in the face of even death? Well, the thing that would make it possible is the fact that at 5 years old, they were being taught the Torah.
Yes.
By memorization.
Because it's not a distribution of.
Distribution.
Yeah.
So it's oral transmission, which means they were learning the Pentateuch, the first 5 books, at 5 by memorization. And by the time they were 10, the remaining books of the Torah. So by the time they're 12, remember Deuteronomy 6, it says, teach them. The phylacteries and all that, parents first, make sure the law they had the law on every door in the house.
Yeah.
With the exception of the bathroom door, because they thought that to be defiled.
Yeah.
So they would put the law, little boxes, phylacteries that contained the law on every box in the house. And then the charge was for the parents to be intentional. It says when they rise up in the morning, when they walk along the way, when they lie down at night, be intentional about pouring into them the things of God, the law of God. This was happening for kids. So by the time Daniel and the Hebrew boys got to Babylon, they had the spiritual fortitude to stand in the face of opposition. Teenagers. And you mean to tell me they're going to serve as hospitality at 40? I'm not doing it.
So where do we?
My bad. Okay, my bad. Yeah,
so
take me where I need to go.
So how do we take this millennial culture?
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And preserve the church from?
Yeah, got it.
What do you tell pastors right now?
Excellent. So what I tell pastors is this.
No. What you said was like we got to sit on that. That is ridiculous.
What I tell pastors, is, and I think in part I've said it. It starts with the mindset. The mindset is that the young people in my church, because I would start at Z. We can go to millennial, but I would start at Z just in terms of how to process this. Okay. The young people in my church and the millennials in my church, there it is. Every pastor has to be careful to not underestimate or overestimate. That's where I'll start. Don't underestimate based on youthfulness, and don't overestimate based on experience. Okay. I think if we start there, that's a great starting point. In terms of the action steps that need to be taken, and this is where I think it gets really important. The question is, okay, how do we, because if a pastor looks out, and pastors do this, they look out and they should see all the raw materials of thought leaders and change agents. Mm-hmm. That's what we see when we look out.
Yes.
We see thought leaders, we see change agents. Okay, the question is, how do we take them from where they are to where they need to be, yes, whether Zer or millennial? Mm-hmm. And I think that it is, and I've talked to a ton of pastors about this. I think what it takes is two things. It takes a fivefold ministry. That's one. Now, here's my new conviction. I believe that there needs to be I believe fivefold ministry is necessary for every local church. That's a new conviction of mine.
Okay.
I don't think that the local church was ever intended to be without fivefold ministry. I believe when there are gaps, it's probably because there are gaps in leadership, but not the leader that's there, the leaders that are not. Mm. Because the truth of the matter is that the pastor, the apostle, the teacher, the evangelist, they are, and the prophet, did I say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Each of them is necessary in the discipleship process. Because if we only have a pastor, we only have somebody who cares.
That's right.
And if we only have a prophet, we only have somebody who preaches. Yeah. And if we only have an evangelist, we only have a person who is equipping the people of God to engage in culture. Mm-hmm. And does that make sense? Yes, and if we only have a teacher, we have a lot of high critically thinking Christians. Yeah. And then we only but when we have the Avengers, the USA Olympic team.
Yeah.
In the pulpit, the trickle-down effect, I believe, is that discipleship looks a lot different now. Now we got the Avengers. You got Tony Stark pulling Spider-Man.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, Tony, how old is he? Captain America, how old is he?
Yeah,
I don't know. He's on the young side.
Yeah.
You know, but Tony took him under his wing and poured into him and stripped him of stuff when he was wilding out.
That's right.
So my point is, I think it starts with, I think we need a new leadership structure. That's one. Okay. Two, I think it takes the older teaching the younger, because this has to be done by committee. Mm. If pastors have to take and this is to the pastor, to the pastor's credit, the pastor's not equipped to do all the heavy lifting and and seeing people from A to Z.
Yeah.
That's what the rest of the team is for.
That's
and
right.
Then that's what the congregation is for. With that, if the congregation was empowered, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the priesthood of all believers, right?
Yeah.
If the congregation was empowered to pour into the next generation the reason I am who I am is because some guys took me under their wing. Dave Thomas took me under his wing when I was 12. He was 21. Ambassador took me under his wing when I was 14, for 20 plus years, Now I'm under people's wing by committee. But I had, for a very long time, there was one person that just poured for 10, 15, 20 years. And so the substance that I have now has a lot to do with the time that they've invested, and they were just in the congregation. You see that makes sense? Dave Thomas is my guy, but Dave, maybe he would teach here and there, and he worked in youth ministry, but Dave was in the cut. But Dave had the wisdom of Solomon. And he poured into me, and I spent the night over the crib, and he took me everywhere. What you doing? Come pick me up and take me to this place or that place. And he's the reason I went to Bible college. He literally just one day said, hey, I'm going to take you somewhere. Took me on a 45-minute drive to the school at the time was called Philadelphia College of Bible. We pull up, we get on the campus, and once I get there, I immediately say, this is where I want to be. Yeah. I had no idea that's where I wanted to be. Yeah. I didn't know. But at 16 years old, he was introducing me, expanding my perspective, helping me to. And so I'm saying, this is somebody who's just in the congregation. If we could empower the ministry of the congregation, that to me is what's next for us. Yeah. Empowering the ministry of the congregation, who will empower the next generation. Then what we will begin to see is that girth faster. Yeah. Because now the process of discipleship is accelerated. Yeah. And no person is left behind. Yeah. So that's one antidote that I believe could be helpful.
And with that, we have to help the congregation.
1,000%.
Yeah.
So the Avengers pour into the congregation.
Yep.
The congregation pours into the next generation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So last question.
Got it.
Because you got to go.
Yeah.
You said, I'm a cross between a millennial and an OG.
Yeah.
I'm approaching 40.
Yeah.
And I constantly think about aging. That's where I am in my life. I'm thinking about aging. So I'm beyond the place where I don't think about aging. I think about aging every day.
For sure.
How have you navigated with getting older in ministry, in the industry? And we're in an industry where you have to stay relevant. Yeah. I pastor a predominantly millennial church. So you're constantly being challenged with what you have on, what you say, how you say it, how you communicate, the music you do, all of these types of things. And you're trying to hold on to relevancy, if you will, while at the same time growing and maturing. How have you navigated?
Excellent. I love this interview, this conversation. I love this conversation. Okay, I'm gonna make a statement. Relevance is overrated. 1,000%. 1,000%. Let me tell you what I mean.
Please help me. Help me.
This has helped me tremendously.
Okay.
Being like the sons of Issachar, keeping your thumb on the pulse of the culture and understanding the times in which we live is important. And if a consequence of that is you are relevant, cool.
Okay.
If that's what's organic to your growth. So for us, we're kind of organically relevant. Because we still love hip hop, we still, still, we're paying attention to the Drake Kendrick beef.
Yeah, absolutely.
we like, oh shoot, it's 1 o'clock. He just released it.
Yeah.
We care, so we actually don't have to try to be relevant. Like we just naturally are organically tapped into culture. Yeah. Right, an aspect of the culture, because culture is not monolithic. Yeah. But youth culture, pop culture, But the reason why I say relevance is overrated, Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm saying that to say it's important for us to have an understanding of where we are. You know, what the Spirit is expressly saying to the church based on the ethos.
Yes, sir.
The current climate.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's what we're mandated to do. Understand the times.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not mandated to be cool within them. And coolness to me is one of the most overrated quote unquote virtues
Yeah.
of relevance that let me tell you why I say that. Think about politics. I think politics provides for us a very solid gauge for this concept. When President Barack Obama showed up on the scene, he had on mom jeans, his shirt tucked in on some white Asics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And freaking packed out every arena he walked into
That's crazy.
with millennials.
That is crazy. That is so crazy.
He spoke intelligently. He was articulate. He was cool in that he was, you know, suave.
Yeah.
Not in that he was relevant. President Barack Obama, the reason why he was relevant was because he scratched an itch. That's relevance. Bernie Sanders he looks like he's going to keel over every time you see him.
Every time you see him. Every time.
He's just like, this might be it.
Yeah.
This could be the end.
Yeah.
Older, white gentleman, no sauce,
Yep.
raspy voice.
Yeah.
Not a looker per se.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not stylish.
Yep.
Why are 13-year-olds out there with posters that say, I love Bernie? Because he's scratching an itch. Because humans are relevance, coolness rather. Maybe one itch, but if it is any itch, it's one of the 5 fingers that make up the fist. It's not the fist itself.
Yeah.
What we have to understand as leaders is that people have intellectual itches that need to be scratched, emotional issues that need to be scratched, pragmatic issues that need to be scratched, social issues that need to be scratched, spiritual issues that need to be scratched. Coolness is very low on the totem pole.
This is crazy. This makes no sense.
Coolness is very low on the totem pole when people start tapping into, from a humanity perspective, start tapping into what do I need? What am I longing for? The reason why the 2 politicians that I named had so much impact, and you know, I'm not Democrat or Republican, I'm purple.
Yeah.
So I'm not vying for
That's right.
I'm
That's
not
right.
vying for them in any
That's
way.
right.
I'm just using them as examples. But the reason why they have been so impactful, irrespective of the lack of coolness, is because they are speaking to something much deeper. Coolness at best is the tip of the iceberg. The other 90% is underneath.
That's right.
And the subterranean needs and desires and longings that people have is what we're really called to speak to beyond anything else. And that's what makes you relevant.
That's phenomenal.
How you speak into what matters most is what makes you relevant. Not how you look when you do it.
All right.
Amen.
Amen. All right, I gotta ask you this.
No, please.
I gotta ask you this.
You good?
What is next for? Well, what made you change from the truth to Emanuel? I know Emanuel is your
I keep
name.
vacillating. They call me the truth on the Stellars. This is it. People, we just.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, a couple things. Number one, it's my biological name.
Right.
It's my government name, and it means God with us.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two, it's interesting, and people get this twisted when I say it. I have to really, really explain it. I don't know if I feel like the truth anymore. Not as much. I think the truth represented something very specific for me. Something very in your face, aggressive, hard nosed. You gonna get this.
Yeah.
And I've calmed down a bit.
Yeah.
I'm still a man of conviction and principle and truth, just differently.
Yeah.
Just differently now than then. When I did it, it was the era where, we were fighting against Muslims and Hebrew Israelites.
Yeah.
We still have now I'm not fighting with them, I'm conversing.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Before it was like,
Yeah.
that was the truth.
Right. Yeah.
So I just feel more like Emanuel is what feels more consistent with who I am temperamentally in my life, in this season of my life.
Got you.
And then I wanted to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
Familiarity breeds contempt, and I've been in this a long time.
Yeah.
And so the name changes, gets a conversation going in the barbershop and in the podcast, and I get questions about it.
Yeah.
And it worked.
So 13 albums.
Yeah, 14 now, I think.
14.
Emanuel was my 14th, yeah.
14. And how long has your career been?
Industry-wise, since 2004, first album.
Yep.
Career-wise, because you got to remember, I started touring in 99 across from me. I did my first international tour in 99. And I don't know, 20, I don't know how long.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah, 20 plus years.
And so what's next? Where's the next album?
Yeah. So where I'm going next is, I've been, the apologetic stuff is big for me.
Yes.
In talks, actually, I can't remain nameless, but a couple different situations I got on the docket right now. Looking to align myself with some people, starting an apologetic organization. Some people are familiar, but it's called Intelligent Faith.
Okay.
But I'm about to actually take that to the next level. So I'm excited about that.
Is it some type of institution where we can go to?
It won't be. I don't want to. Let me tell you one thing I've learned. I'm watching a lot of people do my thing. Which is fine.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But I am learning. I really have to, because I would just now, I would have gave you everything.
Yeah, I got you.
And that means I would have gave everybody everything.
Right.
And so I'm gonna keep this one close to the chest.
Okay.
But it is some apologetic stuff that I'm excited about. I am also
watching everybody do my thing. That's what? That's so fun. Did you hear it?
Oh, Jesus. I don't.
No.
That's
crazy.
But you just have to be careful. Intellectual property is a real thing. And here's the thing. We're all inspired by people.
Yeah.
And honestly, whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be careful about, it's like, you just got there first. All good.
Yeah. That's right.
If I drag that's my bad. I missed it.
Yeah.
I talked about it and missed it.
That's it.
Jesus.
That's it.
Lord, that hit me. My God.
That's it, man.
So I'm in the process. I got an apologetic series. I just finished the first installment of it musically as well.
Oh, wow.
So this is aside from the other stuff.
Wow.
And the apologetic series is called Skeptics Welcomed. And the first volume, which I just completed, is called Forgive Me If I Was Rude. And it I'm starting off on the B side of the apologetic passage, the most popular common apologetic passage. Be ready to always give a defense for the hope that lies within, with all gentleness and respect.
Yes, sir.
And so forgive me if I was rude. It's just about all my blunders.
Gotcha.
How I got it wrong, where I got it right.
Yeah.
And just, some of the lessons I've learned and things I've been taught about, not what to say, but how to say it.
How to say it.
Not what to do, but how to.
Yes, sir.
So
All right, y'all. That's all right. We're gonna leave it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Emanuel. Man, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. I'm a teaching pastor at Story Church too.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Pastor Sam Collier, Apostle Sam Collier.
Yes, sir.
You know, he and I planted Hillsong together,
Yeah.
Hillsong Atlanta.
Yeah.
And once we went in a different direction, we revisited something that was actually his brainchild from the beginning before Hillsong was planted, and that was Story.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're about to, within the next 2 weeks, you'll hear it's a really, really, really big announcement.
Okay.
About a transition that we're all super excited about. That's about to, I think it's about to be a thing. So.
It's about to be a thing. Y'all, look, thank you for coming.
Man, it's my pleasure. Anytime you call me, it's easy.
Yes, sir.
I got you.
Thank you, man. Y'all show your love one more time for Emanuel. You know him as the truth. He's on bandwidth tonight. Phenomenal. Thank you, sir.
Easy. Appreciate y'all.
See you Monday, y'all.